Are you truly living? Or just waiting for life to begin once something finally happens? In this video, we explore the powerful philosophy of Alan Watts, who exposes the modern obsession with productivity, goals, and the future. You'll understand why so many of us are trapped in the mindset of "I'll live later," and how that mindset steals the only real thing we have, the present moment. Discover why true happiness isn't in the next job, the next relationship, or the next achievement, but in your ability to be fully present. Even in difficult times, Alan Watts shows that the now is where pain transforms, and where freedom truly begins. Watch until the end for a reflection that may change the way you see your life and start truly living today. The illusion of later. Have you ever noticed how we live our lives waiting for them to truly begin? Later? We grow up hearing things like, "Study hard now, because one day you'll reap the rewards." After school comes college. After college, the job. After the job, the promotion. After the promotion, the house. After the house, retirement. And after that, maybe life? But Alan Watts, a philosopher and thinker who dared to challenge the mental machinery of the Western world, warns us, this idea of a future life is a trap. He said life doesn't begin later. Life has already begun. It's happening right now. As you hear these words, as you breathe, as you feel. According to Watts, we live in a culture that has turned existence into an endless rehearsal. We're always preparing for the big performance that never premieres, always waiting for that point in time when we'll finally get to rest, to smile, to truly love, to finally be ourselves. But that moment never comes, because deep down it doesn't actually exist. And that's the heart of Alan Watts' philosophy. The future is an illusion, not in the sense that it won't happen, but in the sense that it's not real now. It's a mental construction, concept, plan, projected thought. And as long as we feed that thought like it's the ultimate purpose of life, the present, the only thing that's truly real, slips by unnoticed. We live as if we're climbing an endless staircase, and each step, no matter how high we reach, only reveals another one above it. Performance culture teaches us that we'll only be happy after we've achieved something more, something beyond, something that's still to come. And that makes many of us never truly feel alive, because our minds are always one step ahead of our bodies, always restless, always waiting for the next when. And then, Alan Watts asks, with that calm, ironic smile only the wise seem to wear, have you noticed that this idea of the future is something you can never actually reach? Because the future is always arriving, but never here. He compares chasing the future to chasing your own reflection on water. The more you run after it, the more it slips away. And the more you believe happiness lies up ahead, the further you drift from the only thing that's real, the now. This later we're always waiting for is, most of the time, just an excuse not to truly live. It's an unconscious way of postponing our emotions, our connections, our most sincere dreams. Watts invites us to look at the present, not as an obstacle between us and the future, but as the only stage where life actually unfolds. And if we can't be present now, we'll never truly be present at all. The endless treadmill of productivity. We live in an age where productivity has become synonymous with personal worth. You wake up and immediately ask yourself, what am I going to produce today? You go to sleep wondering, did I do enough? And if, by chance, you do nothing for a day, you're hit with guilt, as if merely existing without producing is a failure. Alan Watts looked at all of this with a kind of astonishment and deep compassion. He saw modern humans as exhausted beings, running on an endless treadmill, always in motion but never arriving anywhere, always busy but feeling empty, always producing but never truly present. He used to say that human beings have become machines for making plans. We make plans for the day, for the week, for the next 5 years. And in doing so, we overlook the simplest, most forgotten truth of all. Life is not a long-term project. Life is now. It's this exact moment as you breathe, listen, feel. It's the pause between one goal and the next. It's the silence between your thoughts. It's the moment you realize you're alive without needing to achieve anything. but we've been trained to believe our value only exists when we're doing something useful. Productivity has become a moral obligation. It's as if resting is a sin, as if contemplation is a waste of time, as if simply living, is a luxury no one can afford. And this is where Watts challenges everything. He asks, where exactly are we going in such a hurry? If we're always working to get somewhere ahead, but never stop to feel where we are, what's the point of all this effort? He often used the metaphor of music. You don't listen to a song just to reach the final note. You listen because you want to feel every chord, every pause, every vibration. In the same way, you don't live just to reach the end. You live to feel the journey, not to rush through it. But the logic of productivity has hijacked that meaning. It convinced us that every second must be used, not in the sense of being present, but of producing results. And so, time became a resource, hours became currency, and life turned into an investment with returns that are always delayed. Watts urges us to reject this logic, not to become lazy, but to become human again. He invites us to step out of autopilot, to stop measuring life in tasks completed, and to realize life is not a race. As he beautifully put it, life is a dance. And dancing isn't about getting anywhere. It's about being present with the music. The now is eternal. Do you realize that now is all you really have? This question, posed by Alan Watts with disarming simplicity, carries a weight that shatters much of what we've been taught about time, goals, and existence. We live as if the present is just a bridge between two extremes, the past that's already gone and the future that hasn't yet arrived. But Watts flips that on its head. He says, it's not the present that exists between the past and the future, it's the other way around. The past and the future only exist within the present, as memories and projections. The only moment you can actually live, feel, change, transform, is now. But there's a problem. The mind resists. It clings to what's already happened, trying to rewrite old scenes, find explanations, relive emotions. Or it compulsively leaps into what's coming, trying to predict, control, plan, achieve. And it's exactly that movement that pulls us away from the real experience of life. Watts said the present is like the surface of a river, always flowing, always fresh, always renewing itself. But if you try to grab it, like someone trying to freeze water in their hands, it slips away. Because the now cannot be captured, can only be lived. What's curious is that deep down, we all know this. We know life happens in the now. But knowing isn't enough, we have to feel it, live it. And that's Watts' great invitation. Stop thinking of the now as a means to something else, because the now is the end. It is the destination itself. He tells the story of people who worked their whole lives, waiting for retirement so they could finally relax and live. And when that day comes, they don't know what to do. They feel guilty for resting. They feel bored in silence, because the mind got addicted to running. And then comes the question, echoing like an uncomfortable whisper. If you don't know how to be at peace now, what makes you think you'll know how in the future? Watts believed that the key to freedom lies in making peace with the present. Not as something you need to fix or improve, but as something you can accept and dive deeply into. This doesn't mean abandoning dreams or ceasing to act. It means acting with presence, living with awareness, desiring without getting lost in desire. When you're truly anchored in the present, everything changes. Time slows down, anxiety fades, your breathing deepens, and for the first time in a long while, you feel like you're exactly where you're meant to be. There's nowhere else to run, because finally you've arrived not at a place but at yourself. Presence in the little things. Philosophizing about the present is easy. What's hard is actually living it. Alan Watts knew that. That's why, although he spoke of deep ideas, his invitation was radically simple. Bring your attention to the now in the little things. The mind loves grand theories. It wants to understand time, the universe, destiny. But what pulls us back down to earth? Can you just eat your breakfast? With presence? It sounds trivial, but it's not. How often do you actually eat tasting the food? How often do you brush your teeth, take a shower, or go for a walk? fully aware of what you're doing. How often are you with someone and really there? The distracted, restless mind is constantly trying to pull us away. And that's where the training begins. What's never asked you to become a monk. He simply asked you to start right where you are. Life, he said, is made of simple moments, rich with depth. The sound of water falling in the shower, the breeze touching your face, the texture of a piece of fruit, the warmth of a mug, the pause between two words. These things have always been there, but you haven't. You've been trapped in the belief that something else is more important than this, as if real life is always just a little bit ahead of you. But what's said? That's the great trick of the mind. It always promises happiness in the future and never delivers. So how do you apply this to everyday life? It's not about eliminating thoughts, that's impossible. It's about noticing when you're absent and gently returning. For example, while eating, put down your phone. While walking, feel the ground beneath your feet. While talking, listen without rushing to reply. When you feel anger, sadness, or boredom, pause, breathe, notice what's alive in you. You don't need to make huge changes. The shift is internal. What's said that living in the present is like surfing. You don't control the ocean, you learn to dance with it. The mind wants control. Presence requires trust. You have to let go of the oars and allow life to carry you for a moment. Not like someone afraid of drowning, but like someone who trusts they know how to swim. And that's the most beautiful paradox of all. The more you relax into the now, the better life works. Decisions become clearer, relationships more honest, your energy lighter, because the now holds everything you need, and everything you have can only be lived now. Dreams, the future, and the danger of later. One of the biggest objections people make to the philosophy of living in the present moment is simple. If I only live in the now, how will I achieve anything? How will I grow? How will I plan for my future? Alan Watts understood this dilemma. He wasn't naive. He wasn't advocating for a disorganized or irresponsible life, nor was he suggesting we give up on ambition. What he questioned was our attachment to the idea that we'll only be happy later. The problem isn't having goals. The problem is turning those goals into conditions for living. You've probably said or heard things like, once I graduate, I'll finally be at peace. Once I make more money, then I'll enjoy life. Once I meet the right person, everything will make sense. Once I move, lose weight, get married, retire, the list never ends. What's called this the carrot on a stick? The carrot dangled in front of the donkey, always just out of reach. You chase something, believing that there is where life begins. But when you get there, a new carrot appears, and the cycle starts all over again. Do you see the danger? It's not that the future doesn't exist, but it's always a mental projection made in the present. And if you never learned how to be here, you won't know how to be there either. Watts would say, life is not a destination. It's like music. You don't listen to a song just to hear the final note. The same is true of your dreams. They shouldn't be a prison. They should be a creative game, an invitation to live this moment with passion and joy. Yes, you can study, plan, save, dream big, but do it like someone dancing, not someone trapped. A dance doesn't exist to arrive somewhere. It exists to be danced. The pleasure is in every step, not in the finish line. When you project all your happiness into the future, you hand over your life to an illusion. You become a slave to a time that never arrives. Watts offers a different path. Work, but be present in what you do. Study, but enjoy the process, not just the diploma. A love, not to be completed by someone else, but because to love is already whole. The future is like the horizon, you move toward it, but it's always just ahead. If you don't learn to live now, you'll never truly live. At its core, the message is both brutal and freeing. Either you learn to be happy today, or you never will be. Pain also lives in the now, and that's liberating. Living in the present isn't just about sipping tea, watching the sunset, or taking deep breaths in nature. The true test of presence happens in the moments when everything hurts. And it's exactly here that Alan Watts challenges us most deeply. He used to say, "Pain only becomes suffering when you try to run away from it." Think about it. When we feel pain, the mind's natural reaction is to escape. We distract ourselves, rationalize, set goals, dive into entertainment, chase illusions, anything not to feel. But all that effort to avoid pain only intensifies the suffering. Watts invites us to do the opposite. Stay, be with the pain, sit with it, breathe into it. It sounds counterintuitive, even cruel, but it's profoundly liberating. When you look pain in the eye without resistance, without turning it into a story, judgment, or guilt, changes form. It begins to pass. The mind tells us that if we accept sadness, loneliness, or loss, we'll drown in it. But what Watts shows us is this: pain that is accepted, felt, and moved through in the present is like a dark cloud, it dissolves. That doesn't mean living in the now is easy. It only means it's the only place where real life happens. All healing, all joy, all learning begins now. And so we reach the final point of this journey. If all we have is the present, why are we always trying to escape it? Watts doesn't ask you to abandon your career, give up everything, or meditate on a mountaintop. He's simply inviting you to wake up to this moment. You can start now, literally right now. Close your eyes for 3 seconds. Feel what's here. Feel your body. Feel the breath going in and out. That's it. Life is happening. Not when you achieve something. Not when everything gets better. Now. If this text made you feel something, don't let that feeling slip away. Don't turn this moment into just another piece of content you consume and forget. Turn it into practice. Turn off your phone for a few minutes. Look around. Feel your breath. Talk to someone, really talk. Hug someone. Look up at the sky even if it's cloudy. And be fully present. Alan Watts didn't give you a philosophy to memorize. He gave you a mirror so you could see that everything you've been searching for is already here. Life isn't a road to somewhere. It is the road. And the only question that truly matters is, are you actually living? Or just postponing your life for later? Subscribe for more content on philosophy, self-awareness, and presence. Leave a comment. What are you postponing in your life? Share this with someone who's always rushing and forgetting to live.